Karen, what is our second main topic today?
This comes to us from Alton Wang, the producer of James Bond, has said that Idris Elba has come as the new. Excuse me, let me take that again. The producer of James Bond have said that Idris Elba's name has come as the new James Bond. This is getting crazy. There have been rumors that Tom Hardy and Henry Cavill were going to play James Bond. The Rock and Tom Holland have said that they want to play James Bond. What do you think that, and I know that you say that it doesn't matter as long as it's a good actor, but what do you think about the name of Idris Elba being talked about for the new James Bond?
All right, thanks a lot for saying that in, Alden. And yeah, listen, probably maybe longer than anybody else. The name that has gotten the most discussion in the fan circle. I mean, obviously, I would love to see Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill was the runner-up to play Bond after Daniel Craig. Now, he was the runner-up to play Superman after Brandon Routh, and they went back and got him for Superman, became the greatest Superman of all time, in my opinion. And so I think there'd be something, and after seeing Henry Cavill in Man from U.N.C.L.E., I'm like, super spy all day.
Oh, yeah.
Make this man a super spy. But I also love the name of Tom Hiddleston in that. There was the Snowboy from, he was Icarus. Who played Icarus?
Why
Why am I freezing on his name?
am I freezing on his name too? I'm just
Who's the
thinking
eldest
about
Snow brother? I can't even remember the name.
Jon
Anyway.
Snow?
Rob
Snow.
Rob Stark.
Rob Stark.
Rob Stark, sorry.
Richard Madden.
Richard Madden, that's right.
Who, by the way, was great in BBC's Bodyguard.
Yes, he was wonderful in that.
And he was a spy.
I checked that out because you told me about it, and that's why I went to go watch it. He
That
was really good
opening
at that.
scene in the train, man, that was so good.
So there have been several really, really good names that have been brought up a lot. Hell, even Tom Hardy's name has come up as a possible Bond. But the name that gets talked about probably the most is Idris Elba. That's been brought up the most. Well, it's not just the fans, apparently, who have been talking possibly Idris Elba. The producers of James Bond have also been talking. They've acknowledged that they have been talking about Idris Elba. It was particularly Barbara Broccoli.
Yeah.
This is what they said. Well, we know Idris. We're friends with him. And he's a magnificent actor. And, it's been part of the conversation. But it's always difficult to have the conversation when you have someone in the seat. So, I think we have decided that until No Time to Die has run and Daniel has been able to, we've all been able to reap the benefits of Daniel's wonderful tenure, we're not going to think about it or talk about anybody else. Because you might be saying to yourself, well, wait a minute, it's already in the rearview mirror. It's not. It's still rolling out. It's still rolling out on various platforms. Daniel Craig is still doing interviews about No Time to Die. They're still kind of savoring this farewell tour of Daniel Craig, who, for me, has been my favorite James Bond. I often say this because, to me, there are two archetypes of James Bond. There's the suave Roger Moore James Bond. There's the badass Sean Connery Bond. And I feel like all the different other James Bonds fall under one of those two categories. Daniel Craig, for me, has been the guy that's been the amalgamation of those two, probably in a sweeter spot than anybody else. But that's just me. So they're still saying, look, we're not having serious discussions yet about anybody playing James Bond other than Daniel Craig, because we're still in this mode. Once this is behind us, we'll start thinking about the real thing. But how can Idris Elba's name not come up? So that tells me a couple things. The first thing it tells me is that the Broccolis are at least giving a little bit of thought to what's happening moving forward. I mean, you have to. You can't run a franchise like James Bond and not, always to some degree be thinking forward. So there's that. The second thing is this, that they know how much people like the idea of Idris Elba playing Bond. And so that's had to be a part of the discussion today. Does that give him a leg up over anybody else who would be in the running? Don't know. And by the way, it doesn't have to be Henry Cavill or Tom Hardy or any of these other big names. When they went out and got Daniel Craig to be James Bond, a lot of people forget Daniel Craig was not a big name. He was that secondary guy in Tomb Raider with Angelina Jolie. I mean, that's how most people knew him from. So I want to say this too. I am all for Idris Elba being James Bond. He's not my first choice, but I would be totally excited as a fan to see him as James Bond. Because I think it'd be great. He's got that suaveness. He's got that power. He's got a lot of that Daniel Craig.
He's got a great voice too.
And he's got a great voice for it. My biggest question mark about him being Bond, though, is in a couple of months, Idris Elba is going to be 50. Can you start your James Bond run? Because we're not just talking about a single one-shot James Bond movie. That's fine.
Right.
Can you start your era, your James Bond era, at 50, and let's face it, by the time they started shooting the next James Bond movie at 51, can you start your James Bond eras at 51? And I don't know if you can. I don't think you need to get somebody who's 20 years old, but can you start like a 12-year run of James Bond at 51? And I'm not so sure about that. We want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of today's video, Peloton. Now look guys, it's a brand new year. It's 2022. And if you're like me and a lot of other people, you've probably made some kind of fitness resolutions for the new year, as we often do. But let's face it, it's not always easy or convenient or time efficient to get to the gym. It's easy to become bored and bogged down in the mundane of the same old kind of workout routines. It's hard to get motivated with that. But Peloton has your back. Now, of course, we all know Peloton's bikes, the Peloton tread. You know, Ann and I moved into our new house here. And of course, you know that I ordered a Peloton tread because I love my treadmills. But Peloton keeps working out fresh, exciting, and new to keep you motivated in the new year. Because, you know, right now, Peloton is pushing you further with so much new stuff, new classes, new music, new ways to keep you and your workouts fun and motivating at the same time. Now, you guys know me. For years, I love just getting on my treadmill. I don't just get on there to jog. I often just get on there to think or do work or do research. I like doing all that. But on top of all that, they have a whole lot of classes that you can do while you're on the equipment at the same time. And listen, going into the new year, they've got a whole bunch of new stuff. For example, they have boxing classes. Peloton is stepping into the ring with you guys with this newest exercise. No gloves needed. You can discover fast, furious, and fun workouts with Peloton instructors right there in your corner on the app. And they're introducing a whole lot more in terms of daily variety in your workouts. Like, it's easier to stick to your goals when you keep your workouts interesting. Peloton's got a workout for every goal, every day, and every mood you might be in. De-stress from a long day with a 30-minute strength and 20 minutes of cardio. Do a quick 15 minutes of a total body class before work. Whatever works for you to stay motivated while having fun with bike workouts, yoga, meditation, dance, cardio, whatever it is you need. And right now, for a limited time, try the Peloton app for free for 2 months. Then it's just $12.99 a month after that. New members only. So visit onepeloton.com/app to learn more. Now that's 2 months free at OnePeloton. That's OnePeloton.com/app. The offer expires on January 31st and terms may apply. And again, we want to thank Peloton for sponsoring this video. Rob, you are our resident James Bond major fanboy here. I think there's a lot of upside to Idris Elba. What do you think about this whole thing, the conversations they're having? What do you think the realistic chances are of Idris Elba being it? And what would you think about Idris Elba being it?
Look, I'm a huge Idris Elba fan. I've been a fan of his since he played Stringer Bell on The Wire. I think he's incredible in Luther. Hell, I even liked him as the villain in Hobbs and Shaw. But I think that even if they started pre-production and started writing a script on a Bond film and started shooting, it might be 2 or 3 years since that first movie even comes out. So you're looking at he's going to be 53 years old. The thing about even Daniel Craig started the franchise when he was 40. And, you know, Bond actors have to be agile. They do a lot of stunt work. And I think that really the Bond franchise needs a Bond. A Richard Madden is much younger. And if they started a Bond out at 35 years old, they could get 15 years and 4 or 5 movies out of that actor. And I think that's what they're looking to do because they're not just investing in one movie, they're investing in an ongoing franchise. And I just don't know if Idris Elba would be the right choice.
By the way, somebody in the live chat just gave a great name for the new James Bond. Danny Trejo. Danny Trejo is the new James Bond. There you go. Aaron, you hear about this? I mean, Idris Elba's a name. I think Idris Elba's. We've been talking about the possibility of Idris Elba being James Bond like years ago when you're doing the show years ago. What do you think about him as a potential name? Do you think he's realistically in the running for this, and how would you feel about it?
I would love to see Idris Elba as James Bond, but I agree. I think that if this was a one-off, that would make perfect sense, but we do need to have someone who can maintain the franchise at least for 2 or 3 movies at the minimum. You know, I'm surprised that Ben Platt's name hasn't, been thrown out there as someone.
Old man Platt.
So our OG viewers will understand that joke. And if you don't get the joke, you haven't been watching the show that long, stick around. You'll get more of them. No, but in all seriousness, I again, love Idris Elba. Would love to see him play Bond. But given that we want someone who's going to be not just going to give us one Bond, but going to give us 2, 3, 4, however many Bonds we can handle, I want to know why we're not talking about Henry Golding.
I mean, Golding's name is a name that's come up.
I would love to see Henry Golding as Bond. I think that he has the charisma. I think he has the looks. I think he has the youth. I think that he has, and he's at that place in his career where he's known in the industry and well known enough, but he's not a common name. Like if I asked my mom, hey, what do you think about Henry Golding? She'd be like, I don't know who that is. So I think that he's kind of that perfect sweet spot of just famous enough, but not yet too famous. And that's also a thing about Idris Elba is he's a little too famous to be Bond for me.
I agree with you. I think Bond has always been a role that makes a star.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Sean Connery had done like Darby O'Gill and the Little People before he did Bond. Yeah. You know, and he does Bond, and then suddenly he becomes a worldwide star. But Henry Golding, remember we saw The Gentleman?
Oh God, I loved him in The Gentleman.
He was totally like, you've got, oh yeah, Crazy Rich Asians, but you don't. I remember watching that going, whoa, they are making him incredibly unsympathetic, and he was there for it. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, and look, if they don't make him Bond, he could be a great Bond villain.
Yeah,
he totally could.
I mean, but
he belongs in the Bond world.
I think that's a good idea because he cuts a dashing figure.
Yes, he does. Barbara Broccoli, are you listening?
The one other thing I'll say about that, though, is you're right about the whole idea about the Bond makes the stars. Like, I don't think Timothy Dalton had a career before James Bond, but Timothy Dalton was not a household name before.
No, he was a character actor and a good one.
The one exception would probably be Pierce Brosnan. Because Pierce Brosnan was like he's the one Bond who was truly a fan casting.
Yeah.
Everybody thought Pierce Brosnan should be James Bond. Remington Steele should be James Bond. But I mean, that's
he was going to be, and then he couldn't. So I mean, it could have been a star-making role for him, but then he got Remington Steele and kind of jumped back and forth.
So there are two potential strikes here then for an Idris Elba, right? Like one being, can you start at 50? And number two, he is a big, massive name. But then again, all the other names that people are talking about are as well. Whether it's Hiddleston, Tom Holland wants to be it, but I think that Tom Holland acknowledged that got shot down. Whether it's a Henry Cavill, whatever. So, or you know what? It is probably going to end up being somebody we've never even heard of.
Yeah, it could be.
It's probably going to be a brand new name we've never heard of.
Although Hiddleston, man, I think
he'd be awesome.
He could be awesome because I would love to see him ruthless. Like I'd like to see Tom, because was it the night porter or that's not wasn't he in that spy thriller, The Night Manager? Wasn't that what it's called?
I think that's who. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was.
And I told you to watch a movie that's on HBO Max now called High Rise, which is a messed up film. It's really good, but he's great in it.
One other name I want to throw out there too. He's not much younger, but he is about 5-6 years younger. Chiwetel Ejiofor as James Bond.
He could be badass.
Chiwetel Ejiofor, Academy Award nominee. I think he'd be pretty damn great.
Because he was that assassin in the Firefly movie Serenity.
Dude, that's where I discovered him. And honestly,
he was really scary.
And his name was the Operative.
The Operative. Yeah.
As the Operative in Serenity, I honestly think, I mean, not Hannibal Lecter, not Darth Vader, and not Hans Gruber. But to me, the Operative is in the top 10 of my favorite screen villains of all time because he's got that one creepy thing. He truly believes that what he's doing is right.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Even if it means he's going to hell, he's going to do what is right. I mean, it's just crazy. And ever since then, the 12 Years a Slave and just about everything else he pops up in is amazing. Chiwetel Ejiofor would be it. But again, he's 44, so about 5-6 years. But
how old is John David Washington?
He's in his 30s.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I thought he was really good in not Inception.
Tenet.
Oh, he was great at Tenet. Mm-hmm. I loved him in Baller as well, as Ballers with the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson HBO series Ballers. Here's the problem. The UK will never, ever accept a non-British James Bond.
Oh, right.
They will never,
That's true.
never accept it. I think they should. We take a lot of Brits playing North American roles.
Yeah, they're coming over here taking all of our jobs.
I mean-
They go over and take their jobs.
Whatever the South Park thing is.
I think they should be totally open to having an American James Bond.
Well,
I mean,
you know what?
taking
They
a
gave
British
us Renee Zellweger as Bridget Jones, and they're like, "That's your one. That's your one.
That's
You
the
get
one
no
you
more.
get."
You get no more. That's your one."
All right, guys, question is for you. What would you think about the idea of a James Bond being played by Idris Elba? The producers have talked about it. Do you think they should totally go for it? Do you think he could still legitimately play it at 60? I mean, my God, he looks great. I can tell you, he can play James Bond right now, no doubt. But can he still be playing it at 62? I don't know. Maybe you think the name's too big. Maybe you think they should go for small name. Whatever you guys are thinking, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.